take a deep breath. We have to take a deep breath. Okay, let's breathe. 1, 2, 3, breathe. That was a big sigh, wasn't it?
Yeah.
She's not breathing.
Check
her out. I'll just be sure. I was concerned there.
I breathed. I took a breath.
Oh, God, the microphones are on.
I was thinking at how it sounds to people listening.
It's your mind has been
heavy
in the gutter
breathing.
all morning.
No, it has not. You started it.
No, I didn't. We won't replay that. It's a Wednesday, and I have no songs or song titles that remind me of this day of the week. I guess I could reference the old cigarette commercial. I'd walk a mile for a camel because it's hump day. That's as close as I could come today. So I'll start with something simple. I'm Rayford Brown.
I'm Chris Marks.
I'm Lee Barrows.
And Kelly, wake up. Kelly, let's call her up and wake her up.
She's probably sleeping. We were sending stuff back and forth all night.
What?
There are some
was she
funny...
DoorDashing food? Were you giving the DoorDash food to her?
No, but there were some funny rules out there, and especially now with everything that's going on in the world, there were some very serious rules, and they were mostly done by people of a foreign country, like people that originated from Mexico, that were talking to the protesters, through their message, and they were not pretty messages.
Boy, quit acting the fool, right?
Oh, yeah. They were like, you people that are out there protesting and looting and burning buildings and stuff are not even from Mexico,
I know.
You're wearing $300 Nikes and, you're out there and you da-da-da-da-da. I was like, you go, guy, you go.
And now they have stolen Apple equipment.
Yeah, getting messages on the Apple phones they stole.
The core of the apples or something?
No.
Says, please return this phone to the Apple Tower store.
When they're looting store, why are they always looting Apple?
I don't know. There's something about it. Because all they can do
I'm not an
is try to
Apple girl.
activate it.
Thank you.
You know what's going to happen, right? You know.
I know.
You try to activate that, and no, it's going to come back. Keep this. It's kind of like a stolen credit card. When you run a stolen credit card, and it's reported stolen, first thing that happens, the message pops up, do not give this card back to this person, call the police.
Well, it's like Monday night, 23 businesses downtown in Los Angeles were broken into, looted, your store stuff stolen like the Apple phones. But yet the mayor comes on yesterday. These are all peaceful protests until the National Guard was sent in. Have you seen the National Guard on the street?
Yeah.
You've seen them in front of the federal building.
Yep.
That's it. Mm-hmm. They've not stepped off the sidewalk.
Well,
I
do have to make a mention here this morning. Welcome to Jacksonville, home of Camp Lejeune, 100 miles from Fort Bragg, North Carolina, officially. How's that sound?
I love it. I love it.
I love it.
The Trump was there yesterday. He said his administration is going to restore the original names of several U.S. Army bases that were renamed during the Biden presidency, calling the previous changes unnecessary and politically driven. No kidding. Okay. In addition to Bragg, we got Fort Pickett, Fort Hood, Fort Gordon, Fort Rucker, Fort Polk, Fort A.P. Hill, and Fort Robert E. Lee. My. I tell you what, he's going to tick off a few people.
The way I look at it is...
And he said, good.
Quit taking away our history. And we've learned by history.
You know what? We all revere Lejeune, right?
Yes.
Camp Lejeune, we like the place. It's a cool place. Mm-hmm. Jacksonville would not be Jacksonville. Holly Ridge would still be bigger than Jacksonville.
Yes.
Seriously. That's the way it was. And so we all, and we know a little history about John A., right? General John A. Well,
John A. Lejeune, yeah.
Guess what? General John A. was never a saint. I will guarantee you, give me a couple of days, I will go back and find stuff that will make your toes curl. We all have that. What are you thinking? There's going to be something in your history that you did what you had to do at the time that it needed to be done. And it will not set well with some twinkle toes these days. That's the way I look at it. So, good. See ya.
I just think it's ridiculous. Well, like I said, we've learned by our mistakes throughout the years. And we've learned to be a more tolerant nation of each other, except in LA, Chicago, New York, and Atlanta right now. But, you know, we didn't create whatever was created 200, 300 years ago or whatever.
I did.
But
I'm that old.
But we've learned by these things, and to go be changing everything because it offends somebody. Come on. How did it offend you?
We've had folks say we need to change the name of Jacksonville because it's named after
Yeah,
that guy Jackson.
Jackson. Yeah,
And
Andrew.
that's bad.
Andrew.
Andrew.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he was a racist. He had slaves.
Well, let's talk about Sir Onflag. I mean, come on now.
We had a discussion with a group of men the other day, and when they all came out and said the same thing. My family did not own slaves.
Right.
Okay, Rayford's family. You were telling
Yeah.
the sergeant major. My
Yeah.
family owned no slaves.
They just got busy and had kids instead of slaves.
Well, that's like you brought up the sergeant major.
Yeah.
Outstanding gentleman.
Mhm.
I look up to him. I would be, if he ever needed my help,
Oh, absolutely.
I would be
I don't
right
care
there.
what color you
And
are.
you know what? It has nothing to do with his color.
No.
It has nothing to do with his where he was born, or it has to do with the fact that he's a fine, outstanding gentleman. He fought for this country.
Mhm.
He's still putting on the uniform and representing the Marine Corps, and he does it with dignity and grace.
Well, because
And that's why I would back him.
he continues to do us proud.
Yes, he does.
Yes, he does.
That's the thing.
And he did Friday. Their trip to DC and
Yeah.
everything they did over the weekend.
That was a trip.
Well, gosh,
That's for the books.
I bless their hearts. The wreath started falling apart Friday night after the ceremony.
Right.
It was
a
water
little bit of water.
Yeah,
Yeah. Reconsider that one.
Happens, unfortunately.
Let's do a little history.
okay.
Let's do
Since I haven't got
this.
anything else I want to talk about is real current, but we'll get to that too. Can you imagine any former president since you've been alive? Y'all remember a bunch of them, right?
Mhm.
An ex-commander-in-chief belittling the current president because the new kid on the block would not let him enter the United States Armed Forces and go to war. In other words, you were president at one time. You passed the reins to the next guy. Didn't like the next guy, but we got into a war, and you said, just send me in. I want to go in. I'm an ex-president, but just put me over there. I'll fight. Nope.
Mm.
Do you think that Nixon, Johnson, Carter, Reagan, Bush the first, Clinton, Bush the second, Obama, or Trump, can you just imagine any of those guys begging those people who succeeded them for an opportunity to lead an attack on our enemies? It happened. Did you know that? It happened I did not know this part about this history. Quite a few years ago, but I don't think I studied it in school. I don't remember studying this part in school. In 1917, former President Teddy Roosevelt blasted President Woodrow Wilson because Wilson would not allow Roosevelt to fight in the Great War. That's right. Roosevelt, pretty overweight at the time, still had a bullet in his chest from an assassination attempt, was blind in one eye, suffering from malaria-related fevers, and he had arthritis. He wanted to fight for the United States. Hard-headed to a fault, he was. Yeah, we know that. Teddy wanted to lead what he referred to as his first United States Volunteer Cavalry into battle. But President Wilson, whom Roosevelt detested, by the way, refused the appointment, probably wanted to keep Roosevelt from getting hurt, or maybe to keep Teddy from showing up the president. Roosevelt's 4 sons served in the Army during the Great War. Did you know that?
No.
1 was killed. The other 3 served honorably and were decorated for their actions during the war. So that's a little bit of what's going on this, the 11th of June in 1917.
Wow.
That was the big story of the day.
1917.
I'm guessing, like me, you never learned about that little historical fact, did you?
No. But nowadays they don't learn any history, so
Yeah, but even back when we
Probably
were in
don't know.
school, and I like U.S. history. I like North Carolina history. I hated world history. I really didn't care, except when it involved the United States and wars and whatever. I didn't care about what happened in 1101. Who cares? Duh. That's way before my time. Well, so is this, but not that much before my time. I just wish we would have studied things like that. It would have made history even more interesting to people. And I had a very good history teacher. He didn't like world history either, but he taught world history and U.S. history, so I had him 2 years in a row. Oh, God.
Who had Ricky Kraft as your history teacher?
No. I had E.B. Taylor.
I think I had Ricky Kraft, and I think that was at Northwoods Park Middle School, which was junior high then.
I forgot what he taught. I thought he taught English at Jacksonville High when I was there. I forgot. He was at JX shows.
Yeah, he was. I remember he taught. I had history, and then I had Alex Boyle. Who had Mr. Boyle for biology?
No, I have Mr. Godwin.
What we have here is a frog.
Yeah.
We are going to dissect the frog.
See, I had dissected frogs many times before then with a lawnmower. They pop their heads and they pop their heads up out of the ground and so.
We had to pin them. You pin their legs.
Yeah.
Those great big.
Well,
yeah.
So mine was already dead. I didn't have to do that.
And they stunk so bad because they had been placed in the formaldehyde.
Yeah.
And you're like, it was the odor that got me, not so much. What did you learn from dissecting that frog? Please tell me.
Nothing.
I don't know. I'd already, skinned a bunch of squirrels, so I knew how to swing squirrels.
I
knew what was on the inside. That was not a big deal.
Learning
Squirrels,
all about
frogs,
the
whatever.
innards of a frog, how did it benefit you later in life?
Okay, here's the one thing that I learned. When it was fresh, relatively fresh, you take electricity and you put the probes in
That's
the little
malicious.
and then the legs would pop. Y'all
That's
didn't do that?
Cruelty to
No.
frogs.
Oh, for heck, they did.
No.
Oh my God!
Did his leg like
Yeah, they would flip just like that. Hey Charlie, how you doing?
frog legs?
Beats mouth to mouth.
Hey, I got a quick question to ask all three of you.
Okay.
Oh, God
Hey,
help us.
okay.
So during your grade school years or even your junior high school years, how many black students or Asian students were in your class?
Half.
I couldn't tell you the number, but
I can tell you exactly.
We're a very mixed class.
None, and well, I did. I had one Asian. I had one Hawaiian, full-blooded Hawaiian. And remember, Hawaii had just become a state when I was in elementary school. Actually, while I was in elementary school, Hawaii became a state. I had one North Korean kid that was rescued. He was an orphan and became a lifelong friend. And
Well, you say North Korean or South Korean?
North Korea. He was rescued by one of our forces during the Korean War, one of our Marines who brought him home. Yes, buddy, he did. He lives right down the street from me. He married a woman here who's a nurse.
Let me change my answer from half.
Okay.
I don't know, but a lot of them were my friends.
Mm-hmm.
Because we didn't focus on color.
No, we didn't either. You got to understand here.
No, I'm not asking you to focus on color. I'm just curious, how many black students were in your class or your school?
We had over 500 graduates in our
We had-
class.
My year was 4 something. I
Yeah.
cannot remember the last, but it
I
was
know,
over
Charlie.
400.
That's a tough one to
No, I'm
answer.
older, so I'm going to give you mine. This will probably shock even these
30?
folks here. Huh? No, we had no African Americans in any class that I was in until my senior year. And they had one for part of my senior year. She dropped out, and she dropped out because she got pregnant. And that was
Oh, dear Lord.
no, seriously, that was the situation. And so we were the last class at Jacksonville High School without an African American in it. Because that was the first year that they started integrating from
Georgetown?
We had a high school here, Georgetown, that was not predominantly black. It was all black, and they wanted to change things up. So they started in 1964, something like that, 64, 65. They started slowly integrating the classes. Now the classes behind me, I graduated in 1966, but the classes behind me, they had larger populations of African Americans.
Charlie, you there?
No, I'm listening. I'm just trying to dissect what you're saying. Obviously, it's not a bad or a good thing. It's a generational thing.
It's
so,
just
I was just curious.
It's just a fact,
Yeah, with being a military town, Charlie, I think that had a big. I don't know. It did have a big thing to do with the amount of diversity that we had in the students at the public high schools, because the high school on Lejeune could only hold so many people, and they had a lot of rules about whether how to get the students from Lejeune if they wanted to go to a public school. They had certain requirements they had to meet and things, but if the parents lived out in town, their children went to public schools.
Yeah. I think they could opt to go to Lejeune High if there was room, but the parents had to provide transportation.
Yeah.
If if you're a Marine, you had kids, you could opt to send them to Camp Lejeune if there was room there, but you had to provide the transportation.
Yeah.
That's the way that went at the time.
So I'd say, Charlie, of all the high schools we had back then, and there was probably in my time there was probably 6. If I recall right. Jacksonville, White Oak.
White Oak did not exist in my time. So there was Jacksonville, Dixon, Swansboro, Richlands, and Ding.
Yeah.
So all three of you basically grew up in a military town?
Yes.
Yeah. All three of us graduated the same high school.
I don't know anything about your community.
You want to fight about it?
Obviously, I'm going to fight about it. So military was like a big thing in your community, obviously, correct?
Well, no kidding. Yeah. When you got a small town with 50,000 Marines in it, what do you think?
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm illiterate. I don't know.
Have you ever been to a small town with a college in it, a university? A small town now with the town itself surrounded the college. I mean, everything was based upon the university in that town.
So did all three of your relatives, were they in the armed forces on some level? Did they serve or whatever? Or?
My dad did 30 years in the United States Marine Corps, got stationed here. Yep, got stationed here in 1968, and
I didn't arrest that.
Did you? No. Oh my goodness, no. And he actually was.
I'll check it.
He was the CEO of, at that time, called Montfort Point, which is now Camp Johnson. So yeah, and Lee's father.
And so Lee, was your family military as well?
Yes, my father was. And he was stationed here most of my life, and a couple times did deployments, went to Vietnam twice, came back and retired. And this has been, I've gone to school here. I grew up here, and I love it. I would not trade this town for any other place to live.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that about you guys. So interesting. All right. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's a life that I can't comprehend, but interesting how you guys grew up. Very interesting.
Charlie, quick question, because you're out where things are hot. Are you hot?
Have you been downtown LA?
Making the news and stuff. What's your take on it? I mean, you got a take on it?
Here's my take.
Okay.
Here's my take. I think it's imperative. I think it's very important that everyone can protest. You're allowed to protest. First of all, you have to get a permit. You have to apply for a permit, and you can protest. Whatever it is that you want to protest it. If you disagree with something, disagree with it. Just be responsible. The second you riot, you loot a business, the second you throw a firebomb at a police officer, the second that you are disruptive, the second that you attack a police officer, you're considered what's it called, an insurrectionist? What's the word?
Yeah.
A thug.
Criminal.
Yeah. The second that you
Need
violate
medical
something,
attention. Some cases.
whatever it is, you need to be taken care of.
Yes.
But I think you got to be allowed to protest. We have to be able to protest.
I got no problem with protesting. That's the peaceful protests. Informational protests. We've had them around here in the past. We had a doctor here back in the day. He was performing abortions, and we had the anti-protest groups going.
And I worked security
yada
during
yada.
that. Yeah.
Live right down the street from my
Protests.
parents here. But anyway, that was a peaceful protest. On occasion did it get out of hand, and that's when some of the idiots decided they weren't going to stay on the sidewalks and they were going to block his entrance to his building. They can't do that.
They weren't even from here.
That's
No, they
illegal.
weren't.
That would bust in.
Right.
But here's what I want you to do, Charlie. Would you sometime today put a mask on? Oh, it's just a minute, and get a big sign that says "I'm Charlie," and go over there and find a TV camera, okay, and just stand there so they'll get your video so we can see it. We want to know about it. How's that sound?
Oh, no, I wouldn't.
I'll be watching.
No, I wouldn't.
Come on, Charlie. You'll be our East Coast affiliates.
You're our bureau chief.
Yeah, bureau chief out
Yeah,
there.
you're our bureau chief for the West Coast.
We want to know what it's
We need
really
a news
like on the
story.
inside from a real honest to goodness American.
Just get a vest, put media on it, and go walk the streets.
I wouldn't do that. That might get you hurt.
No, I'm gonna tell you, they were out walking like
I know.
Ford Fisher. He went out there and walked the whole, and I love following Ford Fisher because he gets out
I know who
in
he
it.
is. I don't care.
He's a journalist.
In his own mind.
No, he has his. He's a. What is the name of the company he works?
Is there something
Ford
he
Fisher
started?
Company.
News to Share or something
Yeah,
like
okay.
that.
He's not a journalist.
No, he's been doing this for years. In fact, he was the one that was down here in Elizabeth City when they had the riots here back
Right.
2-3 years ago.
Yeah,
That's how I got to know him.
when they were busting the riot.
Yeah, and he was right out in it. I mean, but he's not a Don Lemon, okay?
He's not a journalist.
He's
He's self-proclaimed journalist.
no,
he started his own company, right?
he is known as a journalist.
Hey,
Uh-oh,
Don Lemon is a fine journalist.
I didn't say anything about him. I'm
Look at
talking
Ford
about
Fisher.
Ford, whatever his name is.
Well, I noticed one thing that they did. The mayor of Los Angeles, she's really, really a brilliant person. Her name is Karen Bass. Really good. Anyway, I guess
She's a
there's
Karen,
a
all right.
curfew. She said there's a curfew, and I actually think this is a good thing. And they said, here's the deal. There's a curfew. You have to disperse at this time of the day. Turns out lots of people did not disperse. I
No,
guess
they
the Los
didn't.
Angeles Police Department or the Marines, whatever it is, they formed a circle around all these people because they were not dispersed. And they basically enclosed them and said, guess what? Now you're going to be arrested. And that's what happened. I love that. They had nowhere to
Good.
go. They basically said, F you. We gave you a warning. Now we're going to arrest you.
They pushed him off the streets. They pushed him off the streets at first.
Like cattle.
And then what the protesters did was they would it was an entire block and they would all go towards another street and they would protest over there until the police department and the sheriff's office and the highway patrol all came at one time, like 50 cars and 1,000 cops, and they would start blocking each end of the street.
Cops in a car.
And then, well, a lot of them weren't, and they were on horses too, man. It was
Oh, yeah.
Oh, now that's crowd control for you.
Yeah.
so,
That works.
and so then the protesters would run through alleys and go to another area. So they kept pushing them and blocking them. And as 2:00 this morning, our time, which would be 11 o'clock California time, they just about had emptied out the streets. It
Our
took a
little
while.
pepper fogger will do the same thing with a whole lot less effort. Charlie, we got to go. We got a weather and we got a caller coming in just a minute. Our doctor.
All right, have a good day.
Thank you.
Real
Charlie.
quick. Ford Fisher is an independent journalist and filmmaker. He is editor-in-chief of News to Share, a company which has White House press credentials. It is a platform for raw video
When
journalism
did he get his press
related
credentials
to
under Biden?
political
Obama?
activity. I don't know when I have to read the whole thing, which we have to do,
Roosevelt.
but he's well known out there.
He's so well known. As a real journalist in the past,
That's
I've never
because-
heard of him.
You're a curmudgeon.
Day 3 of the 2025 Big Rock Marlin Tournament. Boats have left their overnight slips or they've weighed anchor and are heading to points offshore, points where the big blue marlin like to hang out. It's smooth sailing on this third day. Yay, finally. The first 2 were anything but pretty. No boats ventured out yesterday, and only a handful got out on Monday. They regretted it. 4 days to go, and the race is on. Lines will be in the water no earlier than 9 a.m. and an hour and 34 minutes from now. Offshore, the forecast looking good. Southwesterly winds 10 to 15 knots, seas 2 to 4 feet, 4-footers every 6 seconds. Sounds and rivers a moderate chop. Showers and thunderstorms likely, mainly this morning. Tomorrow, southwesterly winds again around 5 knots. When the winds are from the west, the fishing is best. Becoming southerly 10 to 15 knots in the afternoon. Seas 2 to 3 feet. Sounds and rivers flat, twiggy flat, increasing to a moderate chop in the afternoon. Friday, southwesterly winds 10 to 15 knots. Seas 2 to 3 feet, 8 seconds apart. Sounds and rivers a moderate chop. There's going to be some big fish caught.
I know. I'm so excited. I can't wait for the way station
to
to
Cape
open.
Hatteras today. You can bet on it.
Today, a chance of showers and thunderstorms, mainly afternoon. Partly sunny with a high near 85. Southwest wind 3 to 7 miles per hour. Tonight, a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms before 10 p.m. Mostly cloudy with a low around 71. Thursday, a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms. Partly sunny with a high near 83. And Friday, a chance of morning showers and thunderstorms. Partly sunny with a high near 84. And I will tell you that all this rain, my garden
Skeeters.
is booming.
Skeeters.
I don't
yes,
go out.
skeeters.
I don't go out after
They're that
4
big
o'clock.
around.
I know. Look, I went to go shut the garage door last night, and just that 1 second,
Swarm.
one came in and attacked me on my foot. Just one. It felt like somebody drove a nail through my leg.
It's an ankle biter.
It's like, God.
Skeeters and fire ants.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Well,
Oh, they're out there.
We know all about
How can
fire
I thought,
pits.
I thought those things would drown when it rained so much?
You would think so.
Yeah.
Golly, I didn't know they could
My left
stay
leg, my
underwater.
ankle is all bit up. I showed you. I'm
All right,
standing.
Jacksonville police were alerted Monday to several people with guns threatening and intimidating residents in the Sandy Run area. One of the guns was described as an AR style of rifle. Vicious thing, right?
Yeah.
Uniformed officers and detectives began searching the area. Their investigation led to one apartment where they were told the individuals were likely staying. A car leaving the area was stopped. It was suspicious, and police found 4 guns. And as luck would have it, bad luck for the occupants of the car. One of the weapons had been reported stolen. Dadgummit, I hate it when that happens. With a search warrant, they found more guns inside the apartment. A man inside had an outstanding warrant for his arrest, and he made a trip downtown with a popo. Those arrested included 18-year-old Jordan Henry from Fayetteville carrying a concealed weapon, $1,000 bond. 22-year-old Trey Kell Wright from Fayetteville carrying a concealed gun, $500 bond. 20-year-old Trayton McKellar from Fayetteville carrying a concealed gun, jailed without benefit of bond.
Good.
Kind of wonder what's going on in the background here, don't we? 19-year-old Taquan Bellamy from Wallace, possession of a stolen firearm and carrying a concealed gun, a $10,000 bond. 20-year-old Anthony Murray of Jacksonville, a good old homegrown guy, domestic violence, assault by pointing a gun, and injury to real property, jailed without benefit of bond. Using the names and ages police were given, I found it interesting that not one of these 5 men had any criminal convictions listed with the North Carolina Department of Corrections. That is highly unusual when I get that far down the road. The fact that 2 were jailed without benefit of bond, a third had a $10,000 bond, while 2 others had lower bonds, makes me want to know a whole lot more. And knowing that 3 of the 5 are from Fayetteville, I certainly have questions. 2 of those live at the same place.
Say it
If
now.
you happen to know more about these individuals, your information could be valuable to the police. You need to notify them. All right. You got background information. You got inside information. Give them a call. You can contact Detective Carnley at 910-938-0508. You can send him an email to scarnley, that's S as in Sierra, CARNLEY at jacksonvillenc.gov. Or if you prefer to remain anonymous, guess what you can do? You can call this man's people.
Crime Stoppers.
Crime Stoppers of Jacksonville, Onslow County at 910-938-3273, 910-938-3273. Crime Stoppers offers cash rewards of up to $5,000 for information determined to be of value to law enforcement. Call us to Crime Stoppers. You don't have to give your names. You don't have to tell them who you are. They will tell you who you are. You are BR549 or whatever number they give you. They'll give you a number. And then when the time comes and you find out, hey, they did something. They acted on my tip. They did this. You can also call and give them your number from time to time if you don't pay attention to the news or you don't hear on the streets of what happened. And they'll tell you, yes, sir, come on by the bank. We'll tell you what bank to go to. You don't have to come inside. You don't have to produce ID. That will be about the only time you go to the bank to get money. You don't produce ID, but you give them this code number, your number, only you have it, and they will hand you cash out the teller window.
Yeah.
You don't have to go.
You know, when we were at Military Appreciation down at Hammock Beach State Park this past weekend, I had a lot of people stop by and they were interested. And they said,
Good. Just good.
Can I turn her in? Her in? Can I turn him in?
Yes.
The spouses were doing it to each other, and then
Well, I'm gonna tell you
the
what.
parents were turning their kids in.
I'm going to tell you what, one of the greatest sources in the world is the wife of a drug dealer, and she has gotten ticked off because he's doing something to her. He whipped her up a little bit,
Yeah.
and she said, is this Crime Stoppers? Yes. You might want to check on, Chris Marks.
No.
And his number is, and I know what. Here's some other stuff. Don't worry about what he's done to me. Here's where he keeps his stash.
I have no
And you have no idea how many times that happens. If they don't call Crime Stoppers, they call the police direct. And then we have the one, the only. I wonder if she's ever called Crime Stoppers. Dr. Rosemary Stein, how are you?
I am doing well, and the answer to that is no, because I haven't had any crimes to stop.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I've
Well,
been
that's
very
good.
fortunate.
She hangs out with nice people.
Yes, she does. A lot of sickies, a lot of sickies,
Well,
but
yeah.
they're nice people.
Yeah.
And they're little kids for the most part. That's always
That's right. They're kind of small.
Yeah, she gets them before they become bad.
So is school out, Dr. Rose, where you're at?
It is. It's been out since last week. Some schools, some of the charter schools, were done yesterday. But for the most part, they were all done by last Friday.
So I have a question for her.
Shoot.
Dr. Rose, if now that school's out, what do you see most when the children come to see? Is it sunburns, poison, ivy, those things, or just a lot of everything?
That's a great question. It's an order of frequency. Probably number one is poison ivy, poison oak, etc. Number two are infected insect bites.
Oh, really? They scratch them, right?
Yeah. And number three are sunburns or like sun injury, dehydration.
Wow.
You do you ever find people come to you that got a tick that's embedded? The little kid's got one and didn't know anything about it, and suddenly things are itching, or mama has given the kid a bath or washed their hair. I had my mom washing my hair one time. That was ticking it. The little kid.
That's right. That does happen quite a bit, especially in
Really?
folds. So if your kids play outside a lot and
Yeah.
they don't pay attention, or even if they do pay attention, because sometimes they can get on the little buttocks, and kids can't see themselves when there's something in there.
Yeah.
So if your kids play outside a lot, sort of need to look them over to make sure that they don't have an embedded tick. Those really can get infected. You do not want the remnants of the tick stuck in there.
No.
So if you don't know how to get them out of there, you could actually Google it, and it's pretty good.
Yeah. If it's really deeply
or go ahead
embedded.
to the ER or your doctor.
If it's really deeply embedded, you need to, you may want to quit pulling on it with tweezers. All right. Because you only, part of that critter is going to stay inside, and you don't want that. Then you got to cut it out
That's correct.
because you can't make it back out.
I would take my child to Dr. Rose and let her do it.
Really?
I mean, I heard the old days. You take a match,
Yeah,
you
that
light
works,
it,
right?
and you burn the head. I don't know if that's
That-
true.
Yeah, it does work. You just have to be careful because you might burn the child with the match.
Yes,
It does work.
And don't
They-
use
they
a
do not
cigarette
like,
or
they don't
a-
like sudden heat.
Oh,
No
people do
blowtorch.
that. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next thing you know, the kids will be coming in with burn marks now.
Now, let me ask you one, because
That's
this is one that
It's a
was,
problem.
this is one that's supposed to be, it was an old timey process. Take fingernail polish or clear fingernail
yeah.
polish and paint it. And they don't get air. They say, I didn't know they needed air per se, because they can get that from the blood they're sucking up, right? But and they say they will come out. It will kill them, and they will just turn loose. If you kill a tick while he's holding on, I don't know that you can actually pull him out intact.
Hold on. Ah.
I
Like,
haven't
hold on.
tried that method, but I've heard about it, and I heard that it works. But
Yeah, I've heard that it works. I don't know.
I will say this. I asked Dr. Rose to do us a favor, because all this conversation about poison ivy and
Makes
ticks and
you
stuff.
itch.
No, it's making Lee over here. She's
I think she's over here.
He's doing, y'all doing this on purpose.
Dude, they're scratching and itching. And Dr. Rose, maybe you can send some Benadryl or cortisone.
I'm gonna start bringing a stash in with me
There you go.
because you guys are
Here's
all
a back scratcher.
you just do it and I whack you with it.
they keep asking the same question.
They do.
Okay.
Didn't we already talk about this not long ago, Dr. Rose?
I
Yes, we
didn't.
did.
Well, I
It
didn't. Sorry.
several times, but I'm happy to oblige.
And we appreciate you.
Will flea powder help keep those ticks off of you?
You're not a dog.
Okay.
I've been accused of being one a few times, but I don't.
Now I'm looking at. Oh,
I do have another question.
yes.
Dr. Rose, I'm hearing a lot about pneumonia. Is there a reason why pneumonia is so
Summer
prevalent
pneumonia.
right now?
Well, pneumonia can happen any time of the year. I have not seen a lot of pneumonia, or more pneumonia than usual in the last few weeks. But you can have like mini epidemics of pneumonia in certain areas. You can get them from mostly bacteria, and the bacteria that causes strep can cause pneumonia as well, and then there's the community acquired or walking pneumonia, and that one is a different kind, but they all need to be treated with antibiotics.
Yeah, well, I understand what causes it with kids during the summertime. I've heard, and this is probably factual. You can help me out here, and if not, say it is, so we can tell the kids not to do it. Staying inside, doing nothing except playing with your two thumbs on a telephone, or you're watching TV all day long. You're not getting outside. Your lungs are not. All they got is stagnant air in them, and you might have a little bug down there that is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, going to develop into pneumonia. Does that sound feasible?
And that makes sense. I see it more after the kid's gone to like a lake or a pool. They swallowed some water, and then they were, like you said, not very active, and that stagnant water was in their airways, and they get pneumonia. So I've seen that happen a bit. There's almost always a precipitating event. So that
Sure.
if you think about it, there was something that you can learn to avoid in the future. But you can't avoid all pneumonia. Some
Yeah.
kids, you never know why they had it.
And some
But once a kid has a high fever and a very, it's sort of a deep congested cough,
Mm.
and it's hacking. It just keeps on going, and they just say that they feel so tired. That's a bad sign, and I think a fever that way should not last more than 2, maybe 3 days before you take them to the doctor. The longer you wait with pneumonia, the more that bacteria is embedded into the lungs, and the longer it will take for the child to feel better.
You mentioned swimming in waters. We are, kind of blessed around here. We don't have a lot of public pools. We have one coming, but we don't have one yet. And I'm sure it's going to be maintained the way it's supposed to be, unlike a lot of home pools, perhaps.
Mhm.
But our waters around here, even the intercoastal waterway and the waters in the ocean, those waters are clean compared to a lot of those little ponds, the little lakes. Lakes don't have water to come in except from the runoff and rain that comes
That's
down.
right.
And that's got junk in it. All of that, not the rain, but the runoffs. So, there's no telling what's breeding in that mess. I don't go swimming there.
That's what I see the most. It's lakes and ponds,
Yeah.
and pools third,
Mhm.
causing that kind of pneumonia.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be home pools more than there's going to be other pools, right? People with them at home.
I would say it's a pretty good mix. A
Mm,
few years
really?
ago, because there was something going around, and maybe they weren't cleaning out the public pools very well. We got a lot of kids with all types of different infections, but especially stomach bugs, because kids
Yeah.
both keep their mouths open underwater.
Of course.
That were coming in.
Yeah, they won't keep their mouths closed, that's for sure. And they will drink water. I mean, good God. As much as I've been in the ocean diving, you can't help but come out with an extra
What is
layer of salt.
You're gonna get-
So, I don't have to salt my food after I dive. Let's just put it that way. I got plenty stored in me. Anything else that we need to spread the pleasures today, the mornings?
I think the most important thing out of all of this, these are good treatments and things to be aware of, but the best thing is prevention. Be on the lookout and talk to your kids about some of the things that they need to be aware of, and keep them active. They need to be kept active, because any person that is stagnant will not do well. They can get sick. They start to flounder. So the kids need to have a list of things to do. Do not leave a kid in the house just watching TV or on their tablets. That's not good for a kid. Make sure that you have a plan for them, some chores, a reading list, some math work that they can do. They'll complain about it as they're supposed to, but they need a good list of things to do, and take them out to good things. Take them out to visit the museum or art or do special things with them that will enhance their memories and make them a more well-rounded person. And this is a good time to start planning right at the beginning of the summer.
I have an educational moment pretty much every morning here that I've found really quirky little historical facts about this day in history. Like today, I thought was it's something I never learned in school, and I'm old, should have learned it, but nobody ever taught it. It dealt with Teddy Roosevelt and Woodrow Wilson, and the beginning of the Great War, what became World War I. But little historical facts. You go Google this day in history, put it up there as a bookmark if you want, but then go back to that every day and share with your children. And if you can get them to do the same thing, they can go to school next fall and say, you know what, I'm a lot smarter than you are. I know this. Or show up the teacher. Hey, Ms. Johnson, did you know that? Wouldn't that be fun?
It's good to see kids know stuff. And
Yes, it is.
You can sit around the table and say, okay, what you learned today. And start at that. And many times you won't get an answer. You get these really blank looks.
Yeah.
But sometimes the kid will surprise you.
Yeah, well,
Have those meals around the table and
Absolutely.
encourage conversation, guys.
absolutely. Okay, Dr. Rose, thank you.
Great advice.
Thank you. Talk
Thank
to
you
you
so
next week,
much.
guys.
Say good, a kid with an active mind who's doing things like that, instead of sitting there being stagnant and going, thump, 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 well, I don't have to fix this. Where's the way out? No, they don't have way out. If they're active and their mind is going, they're going to want to learn more about whatever.
Yeah.
I read that stupid little thing this morning about Roosevelt, and politics were rampant back then in those days as well. I did not know Roosevelt had a bullet that left it in his chest from when he got shot.
Wow.
And one of the listeners asked a question,
Mhm.
and I'm going to answer it for him. Teddy Roosevelt Jr. Served in the war,
Yes, that was.
but it was his son Quentin, who died.
Yes, he was the fourth one.
Right, but Teddy Jr. Received a Medal of Honor for his service.
They were all honored, but
Yes.
the Medal of Honor went to one of them. I knew that.
Yeah.
And then one of those, I forgot what was the relationship with the World War II president, Franklin D. He was a descendant,
Of Teddy.
and I forgot. See, I forgot all that, and I should know that.
Chris,
Yeah.
Is it a grandson or a nephew? Okay,
Yes.
I've got me going now.
you brought up that question. I'm glad you did because I've been trying to. But you've got Rayford. Do you know a Rob Moody?
I do.
He says hello from Baja, Mexico. He's listening from Mexico this
Yeah.
morning.
Moody,
Yes.
Yeah.
you're smarter than that, bud.
Yes.
Get the heck out of there. You went with me on a few things. You know better.
Yes. I mean, he's
You
put
should
some
know better. You change
very
your,
good comments
you
on
need,
here.
Hey, Rob, change your name, buddy, if you're down there, because they've run to your background.
Now, was he a diver?
No,
or-
they'll find they'll find out you know me, and that's going to be bad for you down there.
They mentioned this. First off, 910-333-0139, because some people yesterday asked, and Steve was one, about we were talking about the insurrection
Right.
or January
Title 10, Article
January
32.
6th, yeah.
But yeah.
So I did do some research, and this is a congressional report on January 6th, where President Trump offered the National Guard
At what point?
prior to the bad stuff happening,
On this,
and it was told. And Lee, you can have if
I know, I understand what you're saying. And not only that, but Mayor Karen Bass had called Tom Holman on the second day of the protesting, and it was the second day that night that started turning bad. But she called him and told him, "We don't want your help. We don't want the National Guard. Blah 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 blah." And so now she's claiming they don't tell us anything. We're just flying by the seat of our pants. Well, you just told the director, Tom Holman, that you didn't need his help. You didn't want his help. Do you think they're going to report to you now everything they do? Do you? No?
No.
And that's just like their Governor Newsom and his little presser he did last night. It was entirely unbecoming, unfitting, whatever you want to say, for him as a governor to say the things that he said last night was uncalled for. It was ridiculous.
they're worried about the Marines coming out. The Marines cannot arrest anybody out there.
That's right.
They're there to protect the National Guard.
That's
it.
and to assist with the federal building and,
Right.
Yes.
and the troop and the agents who are there.
Yeah, the
Right.
federal
Now,
agents.
if you find the feds getting their butt beat when they go to arrest some people, the Marines are going to be there. And as a show of force, they will be able to take care of the issue.
With the bad
I mean, who's going
protesters.
to go up against a squad of Marines when they're out there when the ICE is trying to arrest some illegals?
The bad
Idiot. Get what you
protesters.
deserve.
They don't care whether you're sending in National Guard, Marines, or anybody. They're there for one reason, and that's to protest and loot and steal and destruct. They don't care. And for the mayor to say, "Oh, all this happened because Trump sent National Guard, and that's why they're protesting and looting and robbing and burning things down." No, it's not. They're there because that's what they do.
You had the protest at Harvard.
Yes.
You had it at what was it, Columbia
Mhm.
University, and some of the other ones. There was no burning of cars and
No. No. We've got, there are people there. And yesterday, the ICE,
ICE,
was it ICE or FBI, one of them said, the people that we've arrested, you'd be amazed at their records. They're not innocent, nice little peaceful
Yeah.
protesting
Mhm.
individuals. They're crooks. So now we've got them. They've got history. So, they got bad guys out there. Yes, there are some peaceful protesters out there. They have
Mhm.
they have all the good intentions in the world. But if they are an illegal alien protesting because their brothers are being arrested because they're illegal aliens, they have no right being there, and they should go right along. Come along, brothers in arms. You go to.
Well,
Take 'em all.
we all are for freedom. You're right to protest, but protesting doesn't mean going in looting businesses and taking from someone else who actually has a job and works hard to make a living.
And I'm going to say this too. Let's come back 5 years, 4.5 years ago, January 6th, in case you want to know what that was.
Oh, God.
There were people out there. They were protesting peacefully.
Mm-hmm.
What was overshadowed? Everything that they were doing by the thugs that were involved. Just like this, I'm sure not everybody out there protesting in LA is a bad person. There are peaceful protests going on. The cameras are not going to pick them up. On January 6th, how many videos did you see of people peacefully protesting? That does not make news unless nothing else is going on. That's what they will settle for if nothing else is happening. But when the bad things start happening, that's where the cameras go. That's what news is about. No news is bad news when it comes to journalists. If there is no news, then they're going to have to do, oh God, let's go down to the dog pound and take a picture of a pretty little puppy and see if we can. No, that's not what makes news.
Yes.
Well, that's why now it's saved for the last story of the broadcast. We're going to do
kicker.
Yeah, we're going
There are
to.
2 stories every day in a newscast: the lead story and the kicker.
Mhm.
Everything else is just filler.
Well, so
Seriously, when we were laying out what was going to happen during or any given day,
Mhm.
we'd look at the stories. Okay, and they would change throughout the day because who knows what's going to happen. But we pick out what is likely going to be the lead story is picked out before 8 o'clock in the morning or shortly thereafter. This is what the lead story is. We're going to assign some resources here, yada, 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 yada. But, the bank robbery down the street, 3 people shot. That overshadows everything else. But then we pick out the kicker story. That's where a little shockwave is out there playing has found a little kitten out there somewhere and is playing with the kitten and protecting the kitten. And they're cute little critters out there. That will get as much attention as the lead story, by the way.
or Lee's zebra. No, I mean, but that was a great story.
Absolutely.
The memes are still
That's
coming
a
out like
wonderful
crazy.
story.
So
They've got them at the everywhere. Is so funny. I
okay,
love
so everybody's blaming President Trump for what's happening in LA, right?
it. Right.
It was happening before he
Okay.
Got
Do you
involved,
know
wasn't
if you went down to the very root of who started it, would you believe me if I told you it was the Los Angeles City Council?
they wanted these.
They made it a sanctuary city,
Oh, absolutely.
Mhm.
and now they have 1.8 million.
Well, y'all,
Hey.
Yes, that's what we said.
I think he must know his mom. No, is his mom here?
yeah, I don't
She's
know.
still here?
Maybe.
She may be getting ready to leave.
Yeah.
Let me go.
Okay. I mean, even President Trump has already said because the Army are celebrating this weekend, and so there's going to be a celebration at Fort Bragg,
Sure.
and he's done already said, be prepared for protests.
Hey, yes.
Hello.
Do you not know that the 82nd Airborne hangs out over there?
Yeah, I do.
Do you know that they're equipped and they were trained in dealing with some things like this? I wouldn't do that. I really wouldn't do that. No. No.
No.
Not even Not even if you think you're being friendly.
I just, for the life of me, I know everything starts and ends at the White House. The buck stops here.
Yeah.
Is that what the,
I mentioned earlier today about the protest for this doctor that we had in Jacksonville many years ago.
Yes.
But he had a house down the street from
Yes, he
here,
does.
right? And then he built a big wall.
Oh, yes, he
because,
did.
You know why? Because the people were coming to his home
Mhm.
to protest at nighttime, candlelight vigils, his home.
Yeah.
His sanctuary, right? So he put a big wall there. Okay, it's something that I would like to have one, but good God, I couldn't afford it. But then they came and protest. Their plan was to come on Christmas Eve. They made it perfectly clear they were going to come on Christmas Eve.
Mhm.
Well, they didn't understand that he put sprinklers in the lawn out there too. And on Christmas Eve, it's cold, generally speaking.
Most of the time.
Hey, y'all.
He also had 2 Doberman pinchers,
That'll do it.
which I met
They're
up close and
fearful
personal.
looking.
No, they
They're fearful. I mean, right up front, they're fearful looking, and by reputation, you know that you're like, I don't know about that critter. He's looking at me like I'm a hunk of meat.
pinned me. I wasn't there for
Oh,
a
did you?
protest. I was there on business for the cable company,
Oh, okay.
and I went
They
on
corralled
the
you.
property against his work shed or something,
Oh.
and you couldn't get hold of his maid was walking back and forth, and I was trying to get her attention as best as I could without moving too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, he
Hey, nice doggy, nice doggy. Good doggy. Hey, doggy. You're so sweet doggy, aren't you? Good doggy.
that, yeah.
Those teeth are, and look at you. The eyes are what gets me
Yeah.
on a really well-trained Doberman. Now, a really well-trained German Shepherd just looks at you, and his eyes get wide, and oh God, he's getting ready to bite me.
Oh,
And a Rottweiler.
if I can mention this, Steve, that just go back to he was curious. Remember yesterday it was whether or not Trump could pull out the National Guard.
Newsom says not. Don't
Uh,
take Newsom's word for it.
I don't take. And I think he wants to. He wants to be the president, but I think he really would rather be an actor.
Well, he's not a good one, so he better be president.
Quotes from the transcripts that were released by the Oversight Committee. General Mark Milley, who was the chairman of Joint Chief of Staff, said this, and I quote, "The president just says, hey, look at this. There's going to be a large amount of protesters here on the 6th. Make sure you have sufficient National Guard or soldiers to make sure it's a safe event." It's in the records.
Yeah.
I look at it this way: quit blaming anybody, everybody. Get out there and protect the people, protect the businesses, do whatever it takes.
And being proactive is really good. The Jacksonville Police Department and the Onslow County Sheriff's Department office, God, I'm sorry, Sheriff,
I know it's habits for me.
are joining forces to receive and assemble first responder kits for kids.
I love
We
it.
talked about it recently, but a reminder, the event will take place this morning
Oh, is it that time already?
in 2 hours and 2 minutes,
Oh gosh.
10 o'clock. At the Jacksonville, I'm doing this slowly so you can digest it and write it down. At the Jacksonville Department of Public Safety, they're located at 200 Marine Boulevard. That's on Highway 17 as you're going into the old downtown Jacksonville. Is that big building that says Jacksonville Department of Public Safety. There's your clue.
Nice.
It's part of the city's COSSUP. I don't know how you pronounce it. COSSUP. It means Comprehensive Opioid Stimulant and Substance Use Program aimed at reducing opioid use and reducing adverse childhood experiences. That's what this is all about. Reducing adverse childhood experiences related to substance use in their families. A lot of older people, adults in age only, are, even when they have kids, they haven't grown up yet. And they're hooked on or just still love participating in playing with dope. Let's just put it that way. The First Responder Kits for Kids program was founded by James Fisher Davis. He's a native of Eastern North Carolina. And Kevin Gatlin, They're both devoted fathers, and they now live in Charlotte. They recognize the need for a way to help first responders alleviate children's anxiety during tough times. When first responders, fire, rescue, police, and unfortunately something sometimes even worse, arrive at one of these scenes, the children are there. Of course, everybody's attention is going to be on helping the individual who's, the victim. They deal at that time with distressed children. So now they're putting together kits. Gatlin and Fisher Davis developed these kits to offer a straightforward, impactful method of providing comfort and security during first responder service calls. In other words, when EMS shows up, they're doing Narcan, whatever. And it's not just for that. Let's say they show up and your grandfather is there and he's having a heart attack and they're having to do the defib routine. Do you know how traumatic that is for little kids? It's traumatic for a lot of folks, but for little kids, there's granddaddy. What's going on? What are they doing to him? You can't imagine unless you've been there.
No.
If you want to participate, you can go to the Jacksonville Public Safety Headquarters. That's Marine Boulevard, 200 Marine Boulevard. Come to the lobby, walk in, take the stairs to your right. Climb those stairs. There's an elevator around there if you need it. Go to the event training area. Both Chief Jared and Sheriff Thomas will be on hand. So that's at 10 o'clock this morning. Get there a little bit early. You can park over in the sheriff's parking lot, sheriff's area parking lot.
Steve.
And that's one of the locations you can park there. Along the street, there's on-street parking too.
Yeah.
So there's parallel parking. So good
Yeah.
luck.
We missed
Is
the
it-
prayer this morning.
I know.
I was going to.
I'll get it. We'll get it.
You mentioned Sheriff Thomas, and he and Tommy Thomas were in Raleigh yesterday for that bill.
Yes, for the SB 50, which was passed.
Yes, and it's I think
Goes
it's a
to the
good bill.
governor's desk.
Yeah, I think it's a good bill.
The SB 50 bill. You say it's a good bill. So tell the folks what it's about real fast.
Well, it's got many things in the bill. One of the things that I really, really like is it's going to do away with reducing retired law enforcement's money if they choose to go back into that field.
Yes.
It's going to stop them from cutting their retirement by going back into the same
Field.
In other
field
words,
that they were.
if you work in a police department or sheriff's office or as a deputy or whatever, maybe you're a street cop, you're doing the routine with the sheriff's office. That happens regularly. And then, you retired, maybe at 55, you put in your 20 or 25 years, you're getting your pay.
Right.
The sheriff is always looking, in quite many cases, looking for people to serve warrants, their civil division, to serve papers of different things, different kinds, civil papers, get out of your house, you've been kicked out,
Right.
eviction paper. They have extra security in big trials, courtroom, they need extra security, things like that. They can go to work part-time if they want to. They get paid.
Let's see if I can get
Well,
hold of it.
Then that could, on certain conditions, impact their pay. So anyway.
I'm going to see if I can get a hold of Senator, I'm sorry, Chris Lazar to call in about it because I'm really confused about it because this was also part of the open carry bill.
Yep.
Oh.
But yet they didn't really say much of that. They focused because yesterday it showed where it came out of the House committee in the House. Was that to go to the Senate to vote,
I don't know
or
what the
does the
status
House
is.
still vote?
I don't know what.
But
that
I
is.
was told it passed
I think the
yesterday.
big thing was they could still serve after retirement without affecting their benefits.
Well, I'm talking about the open carry part
Yeah,
of it. I'm
we'll find out more
confused.
about that.
Right.
I have got to look it up. Steve, thanks for holding.
Hey, Steve.
Hey guys. Hey guys.
Hey, Steve.
Hey guys.
Hey, guys.
I was listening to y'all a little bit there this morning, and was listening to what you were saying about what you looked up there, Chris.
Okay.
And what you're reporting is accurate as far as I know. But my understanding is that he may have made a verbal offer, but there was no formal offer. I know that seems trivial, but that is significant. They also had a permit to be at the Ellipse, and they told the Capitol and the Capitol Police that they would not be coming to the Capitol. They did not have a permit to go there. The protest and the whole rally would be at the Ellipse Park, and that's where it was going to stay. Mm-hmm. On that particular day, they had over 1,200 officers at the Capitol because it was a joint session. Normally, they would have less than 500 if Congress wasn't in session. So they did have a robust presence of law enforcement there, but nobody really could have read the tea leaves and known what was going to happen that day was going to happen that day. That was something that was, I think, surprised everybody. But the question that I'd asked yesterday was that Trump, after that, had said that he had to go through the governor to call in the National Guard. That was a comment he had made after January 6th. And I was wondering how the law had changed now from then. When I looked into it yesterday, I looked into what justification the current administration was using for this action, and they said they were using Article 10, Section, I think it's 1203, which does allow the president to federalize the National Guard under certain circumstances. And I believe that it's, reasonable to say those circumstances may have been met. But then it also says that all orders will be issued by the governor's office. That means it has to go through the governor's office. And if the governor refuses to issue the order, that is a hurdle they have to get over. So once again, the governor has to be in the loop on that, and they didn't. They overrode him. He was saying he didn't want it. He was refusing to issue the order, and that should have been the end of it. Beyond that, they can invoke the Insurrection Act and declare martial law, and then it don't matter if the governor refuses. But they have not done that. Now, that was what I looked up. That's what I found.
Okay.
And I appreciate it. And Steve, January 6th was just a bad day. It was bad for America.
It was.
But in reading some of the comments here, and I got it from, again, the oversight committee, and there's different comments that one came from the acting secretary of defense, who said there was absolutely no way I'm putting U.S. military forces at the Capitol, period. And he was talking about the fact that Trump was bantering, and he tried to compare the president's bantering, his words, to Castro's. And he said, I've got work to do. I'm not messing with this. Paraphrasing that part of it. I don't know. Honestly, Steve, I don't know what you can actually believe that comes out of what you found. I mean, I believe that you do a great job of looking information up. I think I try to do a good job of it. How much of what we're finding out is actually true that we're reading from these people?
I will guarantee you what Chris has here has a bit of a spin on it.
Sure.
Because, people went into it, not by Steve, not by Chris, but and other things that are put out there and that become part of the official record. There's going to be a spin on it. Depends upon who writes it, who puts it out there. I don't know.
Well, I would say that's the reason why I wanted to make the comment that what Chris said, I believe, is factually accurate.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't look at it in a vacuum.
No.
You've got to look at it in context. And, so they're like you've said before, Rayford, it ain't always black and white. There's a lot of shades of gray. Yeah. And even though somebody may have said, hey, we're going to have a big crowd, you need to make sure you have adequate law enforcement. That is not the same as saying, hey, we're going to send thousands of people down to the Capitol to beat officers to the ground, break into the place. Nobody would have expected that. I didn't. I don't know if y'all did, but I never expected those supporters there at that rally to go do stuff like that. And once again, like you said, they didn't. It was not the majority of them even. Right. It was a lot of people, a whole lot of people, but there was just as many. On that day, I was watching it live, and I was watching multiple TVs with multiple sources on them. I did see the peaceful people. I did see the people who had kids that were leaving, going the other way once the violence started, trying to get away from that.
Those are the smart ones.
But what happened was that wasn't what got repeated later on. It was shown live, but that wasn't the story. That wasn't the, seeing people beat cops down and assault officers. That was the story, and there's only 24 hours in the news cycle. But, like I say, these things aren't factual, but you can't look at it in a vacuum. You can show footage of people walking around peacefully that day. You can show people walking through peacefully. I think there were people in that crowd that day that there was so many people there, you could not turn around and leave. The only way you could go, even if you were standing there and you were talking to an officer, you're like, I can't go that way. Let me go through and go out the other door. And there was probably some of that went on, It was total chaos.
Steve, I think you, just my impression is you deal with facts, similar to what I do. Rayford deals with facts. So, but I want to throw a hypothetical out to you, if I could.
I love these.
Okay. You're in Los Angeles and you are the police chief, and your force is just not have enough people, whatever, to handle a riot. The governor doesn't reach out to get help. What do you do?
In that situation, the governor is supposed to be the commander-in-chief of the state. I don't really know. That would be something that you'd have to kind of sit there and think about. And but the initial reaction is that the governor is the senior officer. They're the ones that get to decide how they're going to handle that situation. I don't know that I would say I would agree with it. I would say Los Angeles has been dealing with riots for longer than I've been alive.
Yeah.
What was it, 64, 65, the Watts riots?
Yeah.
Somewhere in there.
Yep.
And so I would say that, California has probably had the most experience dealing with riots of any state in the union.
And they still can't get it right.
And I don't know that right. I'm not going to say that you can get it right. How do you, chaos is a hard thing to really, get under control sometimes.
Well, let's go back to your original question there. Suppose the police chief says, you know what, we're outgunned. We can't handle this thing. First step as a police chief is Mr. or Ms. Mayor, his honor, her honor.
Mm-hmm.
We need some help here. And they say, can't do anything else about it. Oh my. Do you go around your bosses? Because they can fire you on the spot. You understand that, right? It's a police department. It's a police chief. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
They can fire you.
Yeah.
It's been done. It happened in Jacksonville. Many years ago, it happened in Jacksonville one day. The mayor's on his way out the door, but it happened. And then what do you do? Okay, there's a thing called mutual aid. No, you can't call out the National Guard. You can request assistance from other police departments or law enforcement agencies that have signed a mutual aid agreement, which most law enforcement agencies have signed mutual aid agreements. So the police chief doesn't have to stop with his honor or her honor or even the governor. He can go to the sheriff. He can go to the neighboring towns that have police chiefs who have signed on this mutual aid agreement. He can say, I need some help. That's one thing that can be done. I know that part of that did occur. Of course, first of all, Los Angeles is like Jacksonville. It's inside a county.
Yeah.
The sheriff has jurisdiction inside Onslow County, just like the police chief does. All right. That's it. But he can request, or she can request, assistance from agencies outside that jurisdiction, if he or she will take the bull by the horns and do it. I don't know that did not occur. I don't know where some of these other officers came from. I know the sheriff's office had a bunch there. I know the sheriff also asked for assistance from other sheriffs, and they came. And the sheriff does not have to answer to the mayor, his honor or her honor, or even the governor. They're their own entity. So they did do a lot of that. Was it enough? Obviously not. Still not enough. You got to overwhelm an opposing force with a force bigger than they've got. Period. Just for them looking at it. Otherwise, you're just going to have a problem.
It is worth mentioning, though, that history has shown us that sometimes bringing a large force into a demonstration like that is like pouring water on a grease fire. It spreads.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're trying to be a serious about this, you've got to take that into consideration. Mm-hmm. That sometimes the best thing to do is let it burn out. We've seen that, and then sometimes, law enforcement makes it worse. But of course, we cannot allow people to be breaking the law or destroying property and stuff like that. At that point, you've got to stop those people.
Okay, now let me throw this one at you. You are, let's say you're the president, and you've sent, or people under you have sent raid teams in, ICE, whoever went in, federal agents went in to arrest people that they have papers to go arrest. They're going in to arrest illegals, right? They're doing it all over the country. They go in there, and then they are attacked. They're met with a lot of resistance. Your people are getting hurt. They're up against a wall. What do you do if you're the man in charge of that? You call the governor and say, you need to send in some National Guard troops. We need some help there. Can you do that? No, can't do it. What do you then do? Leave your men out there to die or get hurt? Or you withdraw? You retreat?
I would say you do whatever is necessary within the constraints of the law. Mm-hmm. You can't break the law to enforce the law. Can we agree on that?
Can you say that again, Steve?
I said you can't break the law to enforce the law. That's the bare minimum.
Let me just do this. I would do, if I had men on the line, women on the line that were in danger, there's not a whole lot that I would not do to protect my people.
I understand that, but at the end of it, under normal circumstances, you may be held accountable if you break the law.
It'll be okay.
I get that. I get that. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that the basic minimum is that we don't break the law to enforce the law.
If you're a child, your wife, or being held captive by a dude standing out there, what would you do? I'm
saying as a base, man. I mean, you're trying to talk about scenarios on the fringe. I mean, I get that you may be in a situation where you don't care if you break the law.
Uh-huh.
But then somebody's going to want to hold you accountable for that.
Okay.
Because the basis of our society is we do not break the law to enforce the law.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Can we agree on that?
I will do anything I
can
to
you
protect.
Wouldn't break the law to enforce it. You would. Yeah, laws only apply when you want them to. I get that, Rayford.
You're putting words in my mouth, Steve. You're about to piss me off one more time. And the last time you did that, I didn't talk to you for a long time. You want to go there? There you go.
Yeah.
He did.
Oh.
He can't take the heat. Steve is like that. He just can't take the heat. He puts words in my mouth, and I won't put up with it from him or anybody else. That just doesn't work for me. And he should know that of all people out there.
I think, there's a lot of finger pointing going on.
Mm-hmm.
What the ICE agents are being tasked with, my understanding, is to round up immigrants who are here without proper authority. Would that be a fair way to say it?
Yep.
Okay. They're doing their job. And those who are protesting don't want these people to be corrected.
Yep.
And they're protesting these people doing their jobs to get somebody who's broke the law. Basically, they broke the law.
Yeah.
Okay. Who allowed them to break the law? I think it was
inaction, lack of action. It goes back a long ways.
Oh, no.
But again, these people who are protesting, will they not do anything that they can? They're burning cars. They're hurting law enforcement officers. They've done a whole lot of things to break the law to do what they want to get done, right?
Mhm.
And what do you expect the law enforcement officers to do under those conditions? Get hurt?
No.
No.
Yeah.
I had a gentleman around here. He said, "You know what? I'm retired. I retired from military service, and police officers, they understand that they can get hurt. Well, they do, but they also understand they're going to take every action to keep from getting hurt, right?" He said, "But this shooting somebody just because they point a gun at you, you shoot first. If you don't shoot first, you might not get a chance to shoot.
No.
You point a gun at me, and the standard procedure is you shoot. Shoot first." Though the man with the fustest with the mostest is the one that's going to walk away.
Well, it's on a lot of the law enforcement vehicles, at least was back in the day, protect and serve.
To serve and protect, to protect and
to
serve.
serve.
All over LA cars, by the way, it was.
And to protect, I think you got to protect yourself. If
Well,
you don't
that's
protect
perfect.
yourself, how are you going to serve?
You're no good.
Yeah.
If you get hurt, the rest of citizenry is going to be in jeopardy.
And you could be wearing the bulletproof vest like they're supposed to.
Yeah.
If someone throws a cinder block through your windshield, causing you to get into a car accident,
Or hit you in the head with it.
I'll be climbing out of that truck quick.
well,
I'm hoping that's no, it's Theo calling.
I just then I think we need to do a weather update.
Yeah, we're going to do with the weather. Go talk to Theo first. Hey,
Yeah.
Theo, what's up?
I miss my buddy.
Deplorables.
Hey,
What's going on?
No, same old mess, different day.
So Rafer, you're good with numbers.
Sure, sometimes.
Here
So how many people are in this world?
In the world, I have no clue. Millions
8
and
billion.
millions.
8 billion. Around
Okay.
8 billion.
in the
How
world.
many people are in America?
333,817, but two died in a couple of minutes and one's being born. I don't know.
Okay.
About 300
Is that-
million plus.
Well, what is it?
About 300 million in the United States.
Okay, is that adding the 10 million immigrants that are
No,
here?
it is not.
It's not. Okay, so you add another 10 million. Is that a bad deal?
Yes.
It is. You close the borders so nobody's coming in. So you can't take these 10 million and show them a road to citizenship?
No, you can if you want to,
Okay, why can't you do it?
because I don't want to.
Why?
Because they came across the border illegally.
So they came across illegally.
Yes.
Chris,
Sir,
do you know that these people are going to court because they're on asylum and they're going through their papers? They have lawyers and they got their cases coming, and they're not coming on a regular basis because you know how the court is pretty slow on everything. These people are going for their paperwork in court, and on the way out, ISIS is there waiting for him. Is that fair?
I think they should open up a night court to speed things up, look, Theo. Be honest
No,
with
do you think that's fair?
Is that the way they're doing it? They're waiting outside?
Yes, they are.
if that is what's happening, no, that's not fair.
No, it is, and you know it is. You all know it is. You heard it. You heard it all over the place. That's what they're doing. That's why you got riots in California. And another thing that you know is the police in California are the best rioting police ever in the country. They know how to handle a situation. They've been handling it for a long time. They didn't need the National Guard. Okay? So the police officers of California are protecting ICE, or ISIS, maybe it's ISIS, I don't know. They're protecting ICE.
Nice.
The National Guard are protecting the police. The Marines are protecting the National Guard. And who are you going to call? What you may call it? The Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys to protect the Marines? How far is this going to go?
I'm calling Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I thought that my understanding was the National Guard was protecting the federal buildings
Yes.
That's what they're doing.
and the ICE building and those places. They're not protecting the police.
Listen, Chris, I don't care what they were protecting. There's a guy in the office called Steve Miller, a Jew, that he wants to to deport 3,000 immigrants every day.
Yes.
And there's another Jew over in Netanyahu that's starving people over there. And they're giving the Jews a bad name. But this Steve Miller is rounding up people that he shouldn't be rounding up. You said if they're bad people, they're criminals, they're gangsters, okay, those are the people you're going to go after. You're not doing that. They're going after communities. They're not going after the crime. Okay?
Who says?
And people are fed up with it. Okay? So if you got another 10 million, Rayford, it's a big problem for you?
Yes.
Well,
You asked me for a question. You asked me a question, yes or no, and I said yes. It's a problem for me.
Okay, Chris, is that a problem for you?
What's the question again? I'm sorry, you was
Adding
saying
10 million illegals to our population.
That you got 10 million illegals here, or people are going through the courts to get their papers straight, and on the way out, they're being taken away and put in detention centers. Now, you have 320 million people here.
Senator
The world has
Mazzara.
8 billion people. It's only
Senator
320 million with 10 million immigrants.
We've
Is
got
that
to
a
go.
problem for you?
Theo, we've got a call here. We've got our state senator, and we got to get a couple things straight.
Theo, I'll catch your answer tomorrow.
We'll talk about it later. Bye.
Yes.
Mr. Senator, how are you?
I sent him a message about the bill
morning,
that we're so
Good morning,
confused
Lee.
on.
Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Senator. How are you?
Thanks for calling in,
I'm
sir.
doing wonderful.
Good.
We have questions, you have answers, just like
We're
Radio
so
Shack used to do.
Confused.
Well, I will try. I hope I can answer some questions this morning.
There's a good picture of
Always
you.
eager and ready.
Good picture of you and Sheriff Thomas and Tommy Thomas yesterday.
Oh yeah, it was.
That's a good picture.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a great day yesterday, and a great day for law enforcement. I think this should have been done a long time ago, but
I
I'm
agree.
very pleased that we were able to get it over the curb yesterday, and we had a General Assembly. We had a very safe environment yesterday.
Yeah, you have a lot of cops there.
We had a lot of law enforcement here, state troopers, FBI, sheriffs, and
Nice.
it always makes you feel good when such patriots are around you.
And you're protected.
We got a question or two. Lee, you had a question about the
The freedom to carry.
part of the bill, dealing with guns.
That's under SB 50.
Yeah, so SB 50 will be heard on the House
That's what I
floor today,
I saw that on the calendar.
heading to the governor.
Well, I saw that on the calendar, but yet I talked to somebody that was in Raleigh yesterday, and they said, no, it's a done deal. It's going to the governor. It passed. And I'm like, no, because I know it
and
just
they're
came out of
confusing that
House.
with HB
You listened to
50 is what
somebody
we passed
else.
yesterday
Right. So
for
it
the
go,
law enforcement.
yes.
Two
Okay.
different bills.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not the same bill.
Well, they had said it was the other, and I was like,
Now,
no, I
so
don't
that
think
goes
so.
that goes to the House today. Now, the gist of the
No, it has passed the committees in the House, and it's
Right.
scheduled to have a floor vote today.
That's what I'm
in the
saying.
House.
that goes
Yes,
to the full
and
House today for a vote, and it's already passed the Senate. Then it will go to the governor, and he will say or
Yeah, he's not going to sign it.
So
That's right.
don't know what's going to happen there.
Well, maybe he'll get it confused and sign it.
If he listens to me, well,
Well, if you can get just maybe 5 different pieces of paper up there, they all say the same thing. Maybe he'll just pick one because
That's
he
right.
doesnn like this one. He won't know the difference.
I'm not an auto pen.
That's
A
right.
auto pen, yeah, I'll sign it for him and just bring it on down here. Get his auto pen, I'll handle it. Now this bill basically is for any individual in North Carolina can go buy a gun legally. They can go purchase a gun or use one that they have, and they can carry it concealed at places that they can legally carry it concealed under the conditions they can legally carry it without
That's
having
correct.
to get a
So-
concealed carry permit.
That's right. There's still, obviously they would be legally allowed to carry a concealed, handgun without obtaining a permit or completing fingerprint or background check
Mhm.
beyond the federal baseline. So there's always going to be that background check when you actually go purchase a gun that still goes through that
That's good.
special system. But the
the concealed carry permit system, which I think it's Article 54B or something like that, it will still remain in place.
Yes, thank you.
And also nothing changes in terms of the businesses and or establishments that allow concealed carry
Yes.
weapons in their place of business or in a church, or if there's posting that says we prohibit any concealed firearms, you still cannot, like banks, you can't carry them in there. Nothing changes. And that the laws that exist today, you can open carry at 18.
Yes.
Right.
So, that's where, we've had a lot of debate about age and training and while I always advocate for training, I mean, I train myself and I think that's extremely important to always be, training yourself on how to handle firearms.
Sure, that's
safety, and
that goes without saying. Now, here's some concerns that I have, and not with the bill, but for the people who are going to do this. We need to have an educational system here, Gordon, for all of you people who are going to carry concealed or open carry, but particularly those of you who are going to carry concealed. You still have to abide by the laws that the people with a concealed carry permit, you cannot have any alcohol in your system. You can't go get a beer, have a beer, even a beer, and take it and put your gun on and go down this highway. It might be okay to drive a car with one beer under your belt, as long as you're not impaired, but you cannot carry your gun concealed while you're doing that. You cannot go into a place that serves alcohol that's primary and carry. You can't go into a bar. You can go into a restaurant where they have alcohol available, but these are the little nuances that people need to know. You have to you have to tell
follow the rules when they get pulled over by an officer.
That's the other one. When you get pulled over by a police officer,
you must let them know.
Sir, I have a gun here and I'm keeping my hands at 10 and 2 till you tell me to do something else. That's the safe way to do it. The other thing is, just because you get it, that reciprocal license that other states have, 37, 38, whatever it is, with North Carolina, that we can carry, concealed licensees, people with permits can carry our guns in those states concealed. We still have to abide by their laws, but we can carry our guns in their states. Now, that does not apply if you do not have a concealed carry permit in these other states, unless they have a reciprocal agreement that says you can carry concealed with or without a permit. There are some other states that may say you can carry, but not many will do that. So,
and this still excludes, felony convictions,
you're
certain issues that folks have. Nothing changes.
If you got a felony conviction and you've been, you've been gone to court, you've been found guilty of possession of narcotics with intent to sell and distribute, that's a felony. If you got other felony convictions, domestic abuse, you'll never get a gun. Okay, you can't even possess one or own one. Done. If you do that and you think you can put a gun on, even if you don't think you could pass the qualifications to get a concealed carry permit, you probably don't want to be carrying the gun. Because some law enforcement officer is going to check you.
I totally agree with you that the training, and this is something that we all struggled with because, many of us that carry a concealed permit, we've done the class, we've done the training, but beyond that, we continue to train. But that training aspect to me is very important, and I think that's a personal responsibility that you need to take if you're a weapon owner, to make sure you understand how that weapon works.
Sure.
Because if you ever do have to use it, you need to know how to use it, when to use it. And the biggest thing I took out of the classes, that they ingrain in your head is don't pull it unless you intend to use it.
Yes.
And that's critical.
Yeah, and this is not a device that you use as a threat. That's what cops can do.
That's correct.
That's what they do. They enforce laws. You're not there to enforce any laws. If there's a guy robbing the store and you're standing right behind him, you're not to shoot him. That is not your duty. If it's you're protecting yourself and your family and others under certain conditions. But you and your family, that's the reason you carry a gun, to protect protect yourself, not to enforce any laws.
Okay, can I ask a question?
That's
Going back
enough.
to the very beginning of all this conversation, because I think it all got lost.
Mhm.
What exactly was passed yesterday?
Okay, it's a different bill.
Yesterday was
That's
HB 50, which allowed retired law enforcement officers to continue, to have the option to continue to work without losing their retirement.
got it. Okay, reason why I'm asking, because I was told by somebody that was in Raleigh that it was the SB 50, which I didn't understand because I saw that
HB 50.
it was still, it had just come out of
Right.
committee and put on the calendar for today.
Those numbers confuse
Yes.
you.
Well, that's,
Yeah, those numbers can get really.
I thought I was right.
And to
You're
take
right.
it a step further,
HB
sometimes
50.
we have PCSs where a bill number, for example, could be Senate Bill 20 that was, making Lazarus Pizza the greatest pizza in the world. But
Right.
by the time it gets to the House,
A second.
someone takes that language and takes my language out and puts a completely different bill into that
Right.
bill. So you have to be really careful when you're talking about bill numbers and actually read the current language, because sometimes it does change. But
Right.
HB 50, which is House Bill 50, is what is the vehicle that we use to take care of the special separation allowance for state and local law enforcement.
Right.
SB 50, Senate Bill 50, is the constitutional carry.
Right. Good. Okay.
So first off, I don't think we need a bill about Lazarus Pizza being the best. So that, we don't need that. The people's choice.
Well, I'll
has
tell you
done that.
what, if you go over there and try to get a pizza in a hurry, you'll understand why it's the best pizza in the house. And you better call in advance.
But
Well, thank you guys, I appreciate you reaching out. But reach out anytime, any questions.
Thank you so
if I can
much.
get to you, I will.
Now,
It was confusing.
I visited one of your other businesses Monday.
Hmm.
Today's Wednesday.
Yeah, this is the
Vital Signs.
ham radio month.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
And they're and I can never remember the guy's name. He always helps me out there,
Ronnie.
Tommy?
Johnny.
Okay, gotcha. And yeah, he looked at the signs on my Jeep. He said, yeah, they're still looking good. Yeah, they're still looking good. And because you did them. And he's doing 3 signs, and he came up with the idea because I need arrows, right? But he said, you got some Velcro that, both sides. I said, oh, I got a whole roll of that. He said that because I need an arrow to point either up, sideways, one way or the other, or to the left or right or up. And I have to change it because depending upon which direction they need to go. So he said, that's all you got to do is put it on there. I said, got it. Make me the arrows. So I got 3 arrows and 3 signs coming.
So, Senator,
Gotcha.
if you have quick time for a quick
That's
question,
wonderful, and thank you. And I plan to be there.
Yes. We're going to make
and,
you work.
Senator, do you got time for a quick
As
question?
a ham radio operator myself, and of course not an active one, but I
He's a ham.
am actively licensed, and I am a geek by nature, and I love that stuff.
Yeah. Well,
Do you have time for a quick question? Real fast.
I do.
I'm going to play Mr. Ignorant with the concealed carry. So would that mean you don't have to take the classes? I took the classes, but is that saying you don't have to take the classes? Is that correct?
No, you do not.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Hmm.
It gives you it's basically constitutional carry.
Gotcha.
but that does
Gotcha.
not remove
Because
your
today-
responsibility.
Today, you can open carry. You can have a weapon on your hip
Yes, sir.
as long as it's exposed. That is allowed today. It's called open carry, as
Right.
long as obviously you're legally carrying it.
Now-
That is allowed today.
The one thing that I wish this particular law had been into effect a couple of years ago. I looked down one day at my concealed carry permit. When I looked through my wallet trying to clean stuff out, and I looked at it and I said, "Uh-oh, this sucker expired 1 year and a month ago." And I said, "Ruh-roh." So I called. I had to go through the whole class
Whole
again.
class, yeah.
If I had done it in less than a year, I had a grace period, but I could have just applied for a renewal during that time and still, as though I had one, I could have carried. But this law would have allowed me to carry legally during that time that mine had expired and before I could get it renewed. That could have kept me from going to jail.
And so
if I had carried.
The answer to that is now you won't need that. But should this law not pass, another piece of legislation that I'm passing currently is, we actually passed it and making some modifications to it that required the sheriff's department to notify in advance in writing that your renewal period is coming up.
Sure.
In your situation and my situation, I did the same thing. I accidentally let it expire and I had to retake the class. But we require now that a notice be sent by mail to the concealed carry permit holder so that we get a reminder of, hey, you got a couple weeks left or you'll have to retake the test.
Yeah.
And what's happened with that legislation is, particularly in military communities, the sheriff's department is sending out many letters that are coming back.
Yeah.
They're essentially wasting money on stamps. So now I'm making a modification that would also allow electronic notification by email. So
Sure.
that,
Now, just to point out too, for you concealed carry holders, if you move during that time, that from the time that you got your permit and the sheriff's got your address, if you move to another location or change your address, you have to notify the sheriff of your change of address. That's a requirement, not just for we can send you a letter, but there's a law that requires that. Did you have to notify him? Okay, so it's just. Y'all knew this if you took the test. I passed mine. Did you pass yours the first time when you had to go for your renewal?
I did, and I actually
You have
shot
to take
pretty
a
well
test?
today, so I was pleased.
Yeah, I got a perfect score on both.
We talking about
So,
you talking
worked
about
out fine.
ham. You talking about
ham radio. Are you talking
carry.
about ham radio? Or
No, I'm talking
guns?
about Game Bang Bang.
Yeah, I
What
took
are you
a test. I took a written test.
You
You
took
have to take the test, and
A test for what?
I did good on the test too.
Yep. Oh, I did too. I did fine there.
Well,
Sure.
guys, I do
right,
have to.
thank you,
run.
sir.
Thank you so
Appreciate it.
much.
Thank
We appreciate you.
All right. See you
Call me
soon.
anytime, and
Thank you.
appreciate all that you do.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for what you do.
Appreciate it too.
All right. So evidently, the person that told me yesterday was
Don't
very
rely
confused.
on. I heard it through the grapevine.
Well, no, I
Doesn't
told
count.
you I looked it up and it showed that it's on the calendar for today's vote
Yeah.
in the House. There are two different things
Yeah.
that got mixed up.
S
and I'm
and
like, I
H.
don't understand this.
S and H.
Well, I know that. I know all
Not
about
you,
the
but the other
see,
people.
like the HB50 is actually the S320. See, so I knew all that,
And
but
the S50 is something else.
right. And it's like I said, it was in the House committee. It
Okay.
came out yesterday afternoon and it goes to vote today.
All you guys out there getting ready to drop your lines in the water, you got 17 minutes. 17 minutes, and the day number 3 of the Big Rock Blue Marlin tournament.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
That's
That's,
what I
right.
said. Day number 3.
Number 3.
And if you've got 3 more days to fish after today, so you can fish 4 of the 6 days, and the winner take all. No, winner takes a big chunk though. Winner takes over $1 million. Probably going to be closer to $2 million this year. Got a lot of boats entered, so we'll have to see how that plays out. And good luck to Captain Bennett and his team out there. Well, he's a part of the team. They're fishing in a 39-foot boat, an outboard with 4 big engines out there that'll scat. So today they can use them because they'll be able to scat. Because offshore, southwesterly winds 10 to 15 knots, seas 2 to 4 feet, 4-footers every 6 seconds. Sounds and rivers of moderate chop, showers and thunderstorms likely mainly this morning. Now Thursday, getting more better, they can fly. Southwesterly winds around 5 knots, becoming southerly 10 to 15 in the afternoon, 2 to 3 footers. Sounds and rivers are going to be flat. Southwesterly winds on Friday, 10 to 15 knot, seas 2 to 3, 8 seconds apart. Sounds and rivers a moderate chop. Are we going to be able to stand outside down at the Big Rock landing today and watch the big fish come in without an umbrella?
Take an umbrella with you just in case. The storms will be scattered this morning, and then as we go into the afternoon, there are going to be more. So today, a chance of showers and thunderstorms, mainly afternoon. Partly sunny with a high near 85, southwest wind 3 to 7 miles per hour. Tonight, a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms before 10 p.m., mostly cloudy with a low around 71. Thursday, a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms, partly sunny with a high near 83. And Friday, a chance of morning showers and thunderstorms, partly sunny with a high near 84.
Was there any more news about, you remember Monday?
Don't ask me about any bills.
No, it's not.
I'd like to have a couple of 100s.
The awning.
Theo's
Remember
I
the awning?
Theo, I saw the pictures that WCTI 12 put on their Facebook, and it showed the awning had come apart, and it showed one of the vehicles out there. In fact, I think it was a Bob Parker advertisement vehicle, whatever. That the back windshield was busted out.
Get a good sale, a good deal on that
It
one.
was the winds, because they had gotten up to like 50-mile-an-hour gusts that night, and it just. You better make sure you have that stuff cemented down.
Okay, Theo's back with us. Maybe we can finish up the conversation today. Hey, Theo, welcome
Theo.
back.
Hey, what's going on?
Well, I don't know.
Another day in paradise.
Lee, I got two questions for you before I go into the two guys over there.
Okay.
I'm taking a nap.
One is I want you to write down for Dr. Rose, what does she think of Florida that Republican DeSantis is cutting fluoride out of the water? What is it going to do to the kids, their teeth, gums, and all that stuff? Find out what she thinks about it.
I will. I'm writing it down right now, Theo.
All right. And the other one I got for you. Listen, have you seen the First Lady anywhere? I see this guy riding around all over. Like yesterday, he got out of the limo or the presidential car without his wife.
I don't
Is she
know.
around anywhere? Or what's the story with her?
Does she have to travel
I don't
with
know.
her?
I don't stalk her.
No, I didn't say stalker. I mean, you were making big changes when Biden and his wife were around him all the time.
Okay, here's my take on
know.
this one. He does not have to have a babysitter, as Mr. Biden did.
No. Nice try. Okay? Nice try. Okay, where's the first lady?
Oh my gosh!
Where's the first lady? She
I
couldn't
don't
make it
know.
to Fort Bragg?
I don't
She
know.
couldn't make it to Fort Bragg, huh?
I don't know whether she came or not. I have
Exactly,
no
you don't
idea.
know where she is. She's not interested.
Actually, she is concentrating on the programs that she started back under her husband's first term, and that is for children.
Listen, she's interested in the crypto company that she started, okay? That's where they're at, okay? So, Chris, let me ask you something.
Sir.
10 million people are here, right? And you're a church guy, right?
Yes.
Okay. What does it say about your neighbor?
Love thy neighbor.
Okay.
But keep your guns
what
well
kind of
loaded.
love are you showing to the immigrants?
Am I loving my...
What kind of love are you showing to the immigrants? The immigrants or the illegal aliens?
The illegal aliens. Okay, so look, you had 1,600 criminals that did a insurrection on January 6th, and they were pardoned. Criminals. Why can he pardon them? Why can he pardon the immigrants?
Why can't he pardon the immigrants?
Yeah, why can he pardon the immigrants? He pardoned 1,600 criminals, convicted criminals. Okay, and now these people here are illegally. So you're calling them sort of criminals. Why can't he pardon them? 10 million people. And I'm not talking about the gang members and all those that they're supposed to go after. Okay, I'm talking about people like that little girl that had cancer, and they went to deport her with her mother. What did she do wrong here? Tell me. I mean, you guys are religious people. Why would you go after these people?
I didn't go after her. I love everybody. And in our faith, we also believe that we love everybody. Our Pope presses that, and there's a separation of state and law. State and law. I honestly, Theo, if they were my grandfather came to this country from Italy, and he came in through Ellis Island, and he came through the right way. I mean, all right. And I understand.
There is no time to do it the right. Chris, stop talking in circles, please. I love you. You know that.
I know you do.
When you come in here for asylum, there is no time for the paperwork, because the right paperwork takes over a year, and maybe more. Okay? Why can't we take care of these people? When you go into a site, when there's a developer has got all these, let's say, Mexican people working hard, earning the money and paying taxes, and they collect these people, okay?
No, they're not paying taxes.
What are you doing to this country when you're doing stuff like that, Chris?
If I know for a fact that they're paying taxes, and I know for a fact that it's not affecting the military veterans who are homeless, because these barracks and stuff are not being used for these military men who are sleeping under bridges, and they're being used for other purposes, then I would have no problem. But I got to take care of our military first.
Where did you come up with that they're paying taxes?
You don't think they're paying taxes? You better read the report.
May I give
you better read the report.
May I give you a real life example of it?
Yeah.
Okay, I was on a construction site with somebody that I knew very well.
Yeah.
It was his construction site, and the illegals were there. One person in the group, the foreman of the group, could speak Spanish. He paid weekly those individuals under the table in cash, because he had to collect from the guy who had the contract to build the place.
Okay.
He paid them under the table. No taxes. They took their money and they drove it to Mexico and turned it over to their families. They were gone, swooping back and forth.
Okay. As a religious person, Chris, what does that tell you when these people are hardworking people and they're living 10 in an apartment so they can save money for their family? What does that tell you about these people?
Taking money for us.
No. They're not taking any money from you, because when they go for gas and they have their cars, they got to pay tax, 53 cents in North Carolina. When they go and buy food, they pay tax at Walmart at 7%. So don't tell me they don't pay any tax, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to leave it at that, but you're talking about the Project 2025 people. That's what they want, okay? They're nasty people, okay? And when you go and you grab people from the courthouse while they're talking inside to the judge about promoting their status and this and that, and they think they're safe by doing the right thing, and then the ICE is out there with a mask on and no identification, okay? And they take them and they send them places without due process, okay? That's what we're fighting for. We're not fighting because you're taking the criminals. You can take the criminals, but everybody deserves a due process in this country. I guess you guys don't know the Constitution as good as you think you are.
Okay,
so I'll
glad
talk to you soon.
Bye.
Okay, Theo. Have a blessed day.
I have wonderful news, so I just want to remind everybody, first pitch is at 7:05 p.m. tonight for the congressional ball game. It should be on Fox Sports 1.
Yay.
If not, I know I have watched it in the past. If you have C-SPAN, I'm sure if you go to YouTube, you'll find it somewhere.
And Doc Murphy's got a whole case of Bengay coming as well.
I just wanted to switch to something fun.
Well, okay, I'm going to do one. I got one.
Go ahead.
Remember that the case up there in Milwaukee? The judge who decided to help an illegal alien avoid being taken into custody by federal agents?
Oh, yeah.
Well, Her Honor, the less than honorable Hannah Dugan, had filed a motion to dismiss an indictment that the feds filed against her. The 65-year-old Dugan was indicted last month on federal charges of obstruction of proceedings before a U.S. agency and unlawful concealment of an individual subject to arrest. She hit this dude, right? Her attorneys, the feds were waiting for him. Her attorneys say she is entitled to judicial immunity and that the federal government overstepped its authority by arresting and charging her. Federal prosecutors filed a response to her motion to dismiss, noting that the Supreme Court has made clear that judges are not immune from criminal liability. The prosecutors added, Dugan's desired ruling would, in essence, say that judges are above the law and uniquely entitled to interfere with federal law enforcement. Ouch. It's about time that judges, lawyers, and parole boards learn a lesson. We demand cops to do their jobs by the book, right?
Yeah.
You let one dot cross a T or dot an I. Oh, what about the judicial system when judges can make decisions based on their personal beliefs and not the law? What about people on the parole boards who turn vicious criminals loose after they've been investigated, tried, convicted by 12 people, and sent to prison? Why should a board of individuals who know very little really about the case or cases overrule judges and juries? And don't get me started on political hacks, governors and presidents. We just discussed one who, for whatever reason, pardon convicted criminals or commute the sentences of hardened criminals, including murderers whose crimes were so heinous, even to 12 jurors, the district attorney, and a judge. They decided the scum needed to die. Is a governor or a president so much smarter than all of those others mentioned? And I'm including Trump in this whole scenario. And that's what I think, Theo. Now we've got who on the line?
Joy to the world. Oh,
Good morning.
okay, never mind. You asked who's on the phone.
I do that.
was
He
just
never
silly
pays
tomorrow.
any attention when I go.
That was
"Joy
cute.
to
Thank
the
you.
world."
You did good.
Thank you, Joy.
You and Mayfield together can, do a duet here next time he's here.
I want to be a bebop girl.
You can be
A what kind of girl?
You can be-
Okay.
A bebop.
We'll
Yeah, you
be, I'll be Bob dance with you. Put those little shorts on I used to have. Those little. Bebop.
I'll just
Bebop.
go with the pants. I'll
Black
go
and
with
white
the leather
shoes.
pants.
No
Oh,
talk.
I think
No
I'm
talk.
right there with you. Real quick, I love Theo. Don't know Theo, but I love Theo. But he was talking about religion and loving, and I'm not a theologian at all, totally. There's a difference in religion and being a Christian. Yes, we're to love our neighbors, and we're to forgive them, and we're to pray for them. But also, the Bible, people want to pick and choose Scripture. It also says that when you're living, you abide by the law of the land at that time. So you're going from the Old Testament to the New Testament. After Jesus came, things changed as a Christian, in Christians' beliefs, not all religions. So let's say you run into my car or hit my car, Rayford, and I still love you. I might not like what you did.
You'll
but
probably
I
beat the
still
stuffing
love
out
you.
of me if I do it intentionally, but
But yeah, I might slap you upside the head. You know how it is.
with love.
Exactly. I love you and slap you right quick. Exactly. But people want to pick and choose. You got to read the whole Scripture to put all these things together. And we're supposed to treat our neighbors as we'd like for them to be treated. Well, there's some of those people I sure don't want them to be treating me the way they're treating out there in California right now.
If you look at some of those cases out there, they're sad cases. You cannot allow 10 million into this country because of even, let's just say, 1 out of 10 is a sad case. And it's not going to be 1 out of 10. We all know that. There's so many of them that are trying to take advantage or have taken advantage of what they thought was going to be our generosity. They were scamming us. They came in here with a desire to scam us. They came in here at the direction of coyotes, people in their countries, the drug cartels. I cannot get away from this drug cartel crap, all right? Because I've been there. How many of y'all have ever met a cartel person? Anybody? No,
Oh, I haven't.
not that you know of. But I know who some of these individuals are. They didn't actually ever meet me, but I met them, and it was not a pretty thing.
Yeah,
But
but they're
that's
manipulative.
the way it goes.
They know how to work. They know how to work the system. I mean, I hate it for some of those people. I really and truly do. There are some that are, it's very, very sad, but they knew about America long before they became adults. So if they were wanting to get over to America, they should have started at a very young age to try to get here, not as an adult. I mean, that's just how I'm seeing it.
When they're screaming about coming here because it's the land of opportunity, milk and honey, yada, 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 yada. Okay. It doesn't mean we're going to give it to you. Number one, you're going to have to earn it. You want to come and join our military? There are processes you can do that.
Yes.
You don't even have to be a citizen. You can earn your citizenship by serving our country.
Yeah, exactly. And you can still love them, but we don't like what they do. I mean, I love everyone, as Chris says.
Four-letter word.
That's what, but I have compassion for others and empathy for others.
Exactly.
But I don't have to like what they're doing. Now, if it'd be me, I'd take a fire truck with one of those water hoses and I'd put it right in front of that street, and I'd take that water hose and I would get rid of that debris on that freeway.
It's bad. It's bad.
Yeah.
Personally, I would clear the streets with a water cannon on top of a fire truck. If you've never seen one of those things in action, they are good.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I told Donald last night. I said, I'd get me a fire truck and a hose, and I'd get out there and remove that freeway.
You know that in a lot of jails and prisons, they have fire hoses in there. When things get out of control, they can clean house. Pardon the pun.
Yeah.
But that's and if you throw a little soap down there, it makes walking around real tough.
Drastic. Something's got to be done. But anyways, there's a lot. You can't put religion and Christianity really together, but you have to love everyone. Doesn't mean you have to like them.
Yep.
But you do need to love them, as hard as it is.
Yep.
That's just what the Bible says.
Yep. Okay, Dickie.
Thanks, Joy.
Thank you, Best
Thank
of
you,
Donald.
Joy.
Tell him I said, hey.
Thank y'all. I will do it. And hello to y'all again, and have a great week, and thank you for what you do.
You too.
Have a blessed day.
I just want to say something real quick because I haven't had a chance to get a word in here.
Sorry.
We had Theo, and I didn't want to interrupt the callers.
So they were interfering with your opportunities.
No, I just want to say real quick because I looked at it and I posted this too. But we talk about the people that have come into this country illegally.
Yep.
There has been some good people that came to the United States because they wanted a home that they could feel free in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all for that. They've started businesses. They're out there. They're good citizens. But what I wonder is, did they ever start the process to become a legal permanent resident? And you have a lot of issues with that. And generally, it takes about a year from the date that you start filing.
Mm-hmm.
Theo was saying that there's backlogs and stuff like that. As long as you've started it, you're going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be fine. But, what we're seeing is a lot of what ICE is capturing are people that have been living in this country for a certain amount of time. They've never started the process to become legal citizens. They have records. They have, we've got issues with, breaking laws and stuff.
Let's go back to what Thea was claiming. I do not know this to be a fact out there in L.A.
I don't know.
Was ICE outside waiting for these guys at an immigration court? I do not know. I don't really care. Do you not think that police officers, when they find there's a dude and that goes to court time and again, he has no driver's license. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
He keeps coming to court and he makes a motion for postponement. He wants to continue it. Is what they call it. I wants to continue this thing. I don't have a driver's license. I got caught without a driver's license. And you know how he gets to court? He drives.
Mm-hmm.
Do you not think that the police, in many cases, when they know that these jerks are going to be coming in there, certain ones of them, that they're waiting outside for him to leave? There was in the New Hanover County Court, up in the judge's chambers, a deputy sheriff in case, with binoculars out there saying, with a radio saying, yeah, this guy just left, and no, he has an NOL, no operator's license, and there he is. He's getting into a blue 1958 Pontiac, and the license tags are North Carolina registration, yada, 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 and he's going east on Market Street. What do you think? They're not going to give him a ticket?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. They're probably going to put him in jail and seize his car,
But they want you
which
to
is what they should. Now, why is that okay? And it's not okay to arrest illegal aliens who already are illegal just because they came across the border and they have not done what they're supposed to do. I'm sorry.
Well,
We
gotta go.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for y'all, those of you who think that way. Not apologizing for it. I'm not apologizing. I'm sorry for y'all for thinking that way. Okay. What do we got tomorrow? We got
We have
yeah.
Mike Gennaro coming
Yeah,
in.
we got Pickaxe Handle himself.
Yeah. Pickaxe. What?
I get it.
Pickaxe Handle, right?
You've named him that?
Look up there.
Pickaxe Handle.
That's what it
I hope
is.
he's not using that for his campaign.
He's going to talk about
That's
his.
his campaign platform.
He's
Spamming
going to
that.
talk about his next step in serving the community.
Yeah, retired police chief. I've been in law enforcement for at least half of my life, believe it or not, in law
Right.
enforcement, not in Jacksonville. He's been here for over 20 years in Jacksonville.
Impeccable. He's got some
Wow.
impeccable credentials.
Oh, he
let's
does.
just say.
Yeah. He's a,
first-
he's a nice guy, too.
First time I met him, he joined. I was president of the Boys and Girls Club, and he joined. He
good.
he belonged to one in Tennessee.
He's on so many boards
Yeah.
and
And I, first time I met him,
Committees.
he was the first interview I had on the air here when when they started the show in 2011.
he just got back from Massachusetts. He was up there last week doing an audit on a police department. So he's on an
Oh,
audit
he
board.
knows what to do. He knows what to do.
I told him to stop by Canton,
Oh, no,
Massachusetts.
also we have
Pop it up. Again, Miller
Favorite
time.
of the week, Miller time.
It will be Miller time
Yeah.
tomorrow with our wonderful friend Chris Miller,
I so look forward
Jacksonville
to
Daily News sports
Miller time.
editor extraordinaire. Let's put it that way.
right.
Okay, I'm tired.
okay.
I got another
What
story, but
happened?
I'm saving it for tomorrow for a lady who ladies just don't learn.
I had a bunch of stories, and of course, I love it when the show moves as fast like that. We want to talk about JetWorks opening.
Who what?
JetWorks is a jet manufacturing company that looks to be that we'll know today is going to be opening up a factory here in North Carolina,
We're gonna-
probably in the
We're
Greensboro
going to
area.
have the east coast of
Employ like
Boeing.
10,000 people.
Hope they don't have the problems that Boeing has.
No, this is a new type of jet that's coming out. It's supposed to be sleeker, faster, more
Ooh.
economical.
So I'm going to be able to fly faster than 500 miles
It
an hour.
looks like
I
a
don't
Stingray.
want to do that. A Stingray.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm.
We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Have a great rest of your day.
Yeah.
And if you're out and about, just say hey to whoever your neighbors are. And if they look like they're doing something bad,
Yeah.
Call
You
the
see them
police.
walking down the street, walking their dog, smile at them.
Yeah. Say hello.
and even if they don't smile back and all they do is frown at you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is
right.
not my neighbor. It happens to be a resident of this community, but he's not my neighbor.
He's a neighbor. He's close
My neighbors are
enough.
Good
He
people.
never.
You're live and local real talk. We're always awake. Not woke, and we'll see you in the morning at 7 o'clock. Bye.